You ain't gonna be disappointed. And can I tell you, in my life, every time that I've trusted God, he's never disappointed me. It didn't happen the way that I wanted it to. Watch out here. But it happened better than what I could have imagined. See, sometimes God don't do certain things because it ain't good enough for you. He has better for you. So he'll hold off on a thing knowing this ain't good for her. She been trusting me too much for me to drop that on her. I got to drop something good.
Thank you, Jesus. Hey, and let God. You gotta and let God. Don't worry about it and let God. Cast your burden and let God. Let God do it. Let God do it. Let God do it. Let God do it. Don't worry about it. You gotta let him do it. Don't cry about it. You gotta let him do it. While you're staying up all night. While you're worrying about it, you can't work it out. Let God do it. Let God do it.
We're going to talk about the story of Lazarus. Lazarus was the brother of Mary and Martha. And at one particular point, Lazarus got very sick. And his sickness was the type of sickness that would lead to death. And so Mary and Martha, knowing Jesus in the manner that they knew him, sent for him that he might come and heal Lazarus. But when Jesus received the news in John 11, the Bible says he tarried 2 days in the same place, not moving to where Lazarus was, as if he didn't even hear the urgent call that we need you to come now. And some of us understand that in prayer that God would not always speak to us in prayer. But sometimes God will allow us to pray and it will be as if he does not even hear what we're saying to him. Oh, hold on now. I know we have people that act like God speak audibly or verbally to them every time they pray. But them folk are just lying. There are times that you can pray and God will say nothing. He will act as if he's not hearing you. But you have to know that he hears. And so Jesus finally gets there 4 days later, and Lazarus has succumbed to his demise. And so I want to pick it up and begin to talk from that sense in John 11 and verse 39. Jesus said, now he's talking to Martha, the sister of Lazarus who has died. Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, Lord, by this time there is a stench. Well, we know a better word, he's stinking. You know, we don't need to tell folk there's a stench to them. We normally tell them they stink. Right? Y'all, come on, get real now. When last time you use the word there's a stench on you? No. For he has been dead, watch this, 4 days. Jesus said to her, did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was lying. Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. And I know that you always hear me, but because the people who are standing by, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me. Now, when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he who had died came out bound hand and foot with grave clothes. And his face was wrapped with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews who had come to Mary and had seen the thing Jesus did believed in him. But back to verse 39 so we can take our text. Notice that Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said, Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he has been dead for 4 days. In other words, Martha really didn't want the stone rolled away because Lazarus being dead seemed like a hopeless situation. Seemed like something that Lord had you to gotten here a little earlier. If you'd have came when we first called you, y'all know how we act sometimes. Lord, if you'd have did this when I prayed, if you'd have showed up, God, this, that, and the other wouldn't happen. And so Martha is talking to Jesus as if it's hopeless. But what he wants Martha to do is found in verse 40. Jesus said to her, again, y'all stay with me. Did I not say to you that if you would what? Believe. If you would what? Believe. Now notice, if she would believe, though it looks hopeless, Jesus said if you would believe, you would see the glory of God. Based upon that, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor the subject this morning. Believe even when it looks hopeless. Look at somebody else and tell them, believe even when it looks hopeless. When you deem a thing hopeless, you're saying about that thing that it cannot be done. You're looking at a thing and you're wanting a particular outcome, but you've reached a conclusion that the outcome you desire is hopeless, and so you deem the situation that which can't be done. It is also a hopeless situation is also deemed that which seems to be impossible. This just cannot be done. And so you deem a situation impossible. And sometimes it's amazing that man has no problem using the word this or that is impossible. Even if you go so far as to tell the person what God told you or what God showed you, they will still sometimes deem the situation impossible, again primarily because maybe they have never seen it happen in that way before. And how many have ever dealt with people that you knew you were saying exactly what God told you to say, yet they were deeming the situation impossible? They were saying there's no way that is going to happen. Oh Lord, it's some folk up in here that you currently possess something that man told you was impossible for you to have. They told you you never have it. They told you you would never get it. They told you you would never accomplish it. They told you you'd go to school, but you wouldn't get out of school. Come on, somebody. They told you a number of things, but look at you now. Look at you now. Not only do you have it, but you have it and you ain't sweating about it. I'm already preaching to somebody. It has already came to pass. The vision that they laughed about, you are now living that vision. Oh, that's reason it's necessary sometimes to let people know that what man told me couldn't happen, it has happened for me. And some of us, it ain't just happened one time, but we've had that thing happen several times where man told us no, but we knew God was telling us yes. Oh, somebody ought to give him a praise this morning, because you know God has the final say. You know exactly what type power your God has. You know that God loves to step into a situation that look like it's hopeless, and he loves to show up when it seems it's past the deadline. High five somebody and shout, show it right this morning. Ooh, some of us not getting happy because, see, you don't recognize that sometimes God will on purpose let it get worse. And he won't show up until he know it ain't nothing else you can do. He won't move until he know that even your mama can't help you. Even your job can't. Am I preaching right? Sometimes he won't show up until he know you can't write a check for it. You don't have it in the savings. You don't have it in your 401k. Somebody there right now, somebody has told you that it's hopeless because you can't write out a certain amount of money. Listen to me right now. But see, God has a way of changing things to show man exactly who he is. Oh, come on, Bible reader. God had to show Pharaoh that when I say let my people go, I mean let them go. So in the church, we have to be careful when man says something is impossible. Listen carefully, and we go to crying. Some tears you have to hold back. And you have to remind yourself before you cry, God told me something different. And because God speaks directly as well as indirectly, you also have to come to church with an open heart, ready to receive whatever God wants you to have. Because sometimes you've been praying all week, yet God hadn't answered you, but he's been talking to your pastor. He's been telling pastor what you need to hear. And so you have to come in ready to receive it. Did anybody come this morning ready to receive it? Going through, but ready to receive it. And finally, when something is deemed hopeless, it is you're looking at it as saying that it's over, finished, or it is dead. But we learn that through believing or through faith or hope, we know when man says one thing, we yet need to trust our God. Come on, I said we yet need to trust who? Our God. I got to trust God. I know what man said, but I got to trust God. Know what the supervisor is saying, but I got to trust God. Hear that they're talking about closing down the plant, but I got to trust God. Because if he gave me this job, even if they shut the door, he'll give me another job. Oh, somebody there right now. They talking about getting the car, but you got to know whether they pick it up or leave it. You got to know God to give you a better car. Whoa, didn't get too many clamps on for that. Some of you acting like you driving the best thing out there. Some of us have lost, but then through God gained. Some of us have lost and then cry about what we lost. Oh God, see, your salvation ain't in a car. It ain't in a house. It ain't in a job. It ain't in money. Am I right about that? And so understand this morning that when I talk to you about believing, again, believing is synonymous with the word faith or the word hope. Now, when we use hope, we are not speaking of wishful thinking, but we're saying that our hope or our confidence is in God. Solomon said in Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Watch this, and lean not to your own understanding. See, when you truly believe God or you truly live by faith, you don't allow your own understanding to persuade you to do what God told you not to do. To say what God told you not to what? Say. You have to understand that this is important when I talk to you about believing or having faith in God. In the book of Romans 5:5, the Bible said that hope does not disappoint. See, that's the good thing about believing God or living by faith is that you know in the end you will not be disappointed. That's the reason I'd rather walk by faith than walk by what I can do, because I've disappointed myself time and time again. But then when I read Romans 5:5, it encouraged me that if you trust God, son, you ain't gonna be disappointed. And can I tell you, in my life, every time that I've trusted God, he's never disappointed me. It didn't happen the way that I wanted it to. Watch out here. But it happened better than what I could have imagined. See, sometimes God don't do certain things because it ain't good enough for you. He has better for you. So he'll hold off on a thing knowing this ain't good for her. She been trusting me too much for me to drop that on her. I got to drop something good, because James said every good and every perfect gift comes from what? Above. So God won't give you junk. Good God Almighty, somebody better give him praise. That's your rhema. He ain't going to give you no junk. He going to give you something good. Am I right about it? So you have to recognize that. Then when we look at faith or belief, and we look at 1 John 5:4, the Bible said whatever is born of God overcometh the world. And this is the faith that overcomes. We gotta believe. This is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. So faith causes us to get the victory. Pastor, why are you always preaching and teaching to us to live by faith? Because it's through your faith that you get your victory. Listen, even when defeat is staring you in the face, God know how to bring victory out of defeat. But he can only do it when we trust him. See, some of you are about to get the victory because you decided to just keep trusting him. And see, this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our what? Even our what? How do we overcome things? Through our faith. Through our belief, even when it looks hopeless. Oh, been turned down 7 times, but God said, go back the 8th time. Oh, God, that don't make no sense. Folk told me don't show up again unless I got such and such and such and such. Lord, I don't have such and such and such and such. But if you say go, here I come the 8th time. Oh, Lord, looking for God to do it. And 8 is the number of what? New beginning. 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7 said what? For we walk by faith, not by sight. So I'm finna make a bold statement. If we walk by faith, not by sight, it's okay when it looks hopeless. Come on. I said, if we walk by faith, not by sight, it's okay when it looks hopeless. Because I'm not living by what it looks like. I'm living by what God said, what is written as well as revealed. So tell your neighbor, it's okay when it looks hopeless. Y'all got to get this, because a lot of saints don't understand that. And that's when we act out of character. Some of us, when a situation looks hopeless. Some of us are quick to pour mouth, to be pessimistic or negative. And we're doing so based upon how it looks. It ain't going to ever happen for us. Why you say that? Because of the way it looks. You've not been ordained to live by how it looks. For the Bible says the things that are seen are only what? Temporal. But the things that are not seen, they are what? Eternal. What you see changes. Why cry about something that might change tomorrow? Oh, or within the next 2 hours. Some of us have cried about bridges we thought we had to cross, spent 2 years crying and never got to the bridge. Never had to cross what we thought we... See, I come to tell you, it's somehow when you trust God, he'll do what your eyes have not seen. He'll do what your ears have not heard. He will do what even hadn't even entered into the heart of man. But I gotta what? I gotta trust him. If saints of God would just receive this morning that it is okay when a thing looks hopeless. I'm not going to be fazed by that. Looks impossible with man, but I'm not going to be fazed by that. Seeing God turn things around time after time, and now they telling me this can't be turned around, but I'm not going to be moved by that. I ain't talking based upon what I see. I'm not going to allow my thinking to be controlled by the way a situation looks. I'm going to yet trust in my God. How many of them made up in your mind you're going to trust God? So again, it's okay when it look hopeless, but at the same time, you have to be careful when it does look hopeless. Some of us know more about what they saying than what God's saying. Whoa. You ever heard a person give you a negative report and they gave you every detail? But then you told them what pastor preached about last Sunday. I don't know, but man, it was good. Now, it was good. Don't get me wrong. He said some good stuff. But now ask them about that negative report. They know every aspect about it. Y'all see what I'm saying? See, the report that we need to focus on is God's report. Because that report trumps all other reports. Boy, if we could just get over into the spiritual the way we do the natural. Some of you former spade players, you don't care what nobody threw out there for as a diamond or club or whatever. If you had the joker, you sat there with absolute confidence knowing you had the high and low joker. They just threw an ace out there smiling, but you had what would trump. See, I just gave you something. See, you have the word of God that trumps every negative report. You just got to put it not on the table, but in your heart. And have confidence. You ain't never played spades, don't worry about it. Come on. See, it's easy to talk about what you gonna do, and you got all the money in the bank to do it. Because you knowing all I gotta do is write a check. And you out there talking about, oh, it's going to get done. It's going to happen today. And I don't care what they say. But see, you know you got cash money to do it. But can you talk that way when you don't have the money? Can you still say God is going to do it? Woo! That's where most saints, if you catch them around February and March, oh, man, they talking big. They just got them taxes. You can tell a congregation then look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, I'll never be broke another day in my life. And that income tax just dropped. I will never be broke. Another day. They'll say it twice. Another day. Did you hear me? I said another day. But see, it's based upon the income tax. But, oh, God. I know I'm talking right. I'm talking right because I've been guilty. And then God said, you speak based upon what I told you. And I'm not showing you any evidence that it's really going to happen except my word. See, watch what happens or what can happen if you deem a thing that involves God as being hopeless. Watch what can happen. This is so important. I'm in Jeremiah, the 18th chapter, and I'm in verse 12. Notice what they said in reference to what God had said. And they said, this God's people, that is hopeless. God spoke, but they said is what? It's hopeless. Pastor been talking about all this better here and better coming, supernatural increase. That is hopeless. You better watch your mouth. I can't tell everybody out there. Just look at your name and say, you better watch your mouth. In reference to what God said. Hold your tongue. And they said, that is hopeless. Here's the danger when you deem a situation hopeless. So we will walk according to our own plans. We will everyone obey the dictates of his evil heart. See, that is the danger when you deem a situation hopeless that God says to you is good or is well. You then begin to walk, stick with me, according to your own plans. See, when they deemed that even God couldn't do a thing, then they started devising their own plans. Plans has to do with two things that I want you to remember this morning. When you think even God cannot do a particular thing, you're going to walk according to your own plans. Plans being, number one, you start moving, functioning, thinking, talking, and doing according to your own ideals. Now, what God said doesn't matter. You coming up with your own ideals. I got a good plan. But see, a good plan ain't a God plan. A God plan is fail proof. A good plan. How many times has a good plan failed us? How many times have you come up with a good plan, but it was three things you didn't know when you devised that so-called good plan? See, we have to be careful. And folks will come to church and hear a good word, but will not loose their ideals. If it's going to happen for me, I got to get up and do such and such. Even if God didn't tell you to get up and do that, that's your ideal. That's the way you think you have to make it happen. Woo! If I'm going to have it, I'm going to have to get all the overtime I can get, even if that means missing church. Because the only way I'm going to have it is working all the overtime I can and begging for what they don't want to give. See, y'all don't like this. Some of you. There were times I needed money when I worked on man's job, but would have to say, hey, can't do it. Can't do it. God want me somewhere else. And be done added up to overtime. Because back then we got what they call time and a half. I don't know what they're doing now. We got time and a half. I be done added up time and a half, 8 hours, 10 hours. Oh. Let me talk to some real folk in here. Have you ever spent money that you hadn't even got? See, that was bad. It ain't that I just added it up, but that money been spent. That money is gone. And now God turned around to me, don't you go in sad. and you want to remind God, that's the money that I wrote the check for that needs to go in the bank to cover the check. Do you understand where I'm at, God? You feel me? But see, that became my own ideal of how it was going to happen. Oh, I'll come your way. I'll keep breaking it down. Pastor, I can't have it until I get married. See, that may be your own ideal, but God may want to do it for you without a ring on your finger. May want you to already possess it. Oh, come on, before Boaz even come. Where my single sisters at? I said, where my happy single sisters at? Let me change it around. That's already getting prepared, so when Boaz show up, you've been spending time working, not twerking. Come on, you've been getting yourself together, so when Boaz come, he know, hey.
Thank you for watching A Word for Deliverance with Pastor Leonard Cochran of A Place of Refuge, Noonan. A Place of Refuge is located at 10 Fisher Alley in the city of Noonan, Georgia. If you would like to visit us, our worship times are every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m. To order today's message on CD, please call the church office at 770-252-3855 and reference the order number on the screen.